so good at what I do.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated champs, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me blacks. Step up in the building and I only bring the flex. When I make a highlight, they gon' be late running back. Okay, always locked in, now I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he can take a lap. Batting 1,000 when you check your stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask. I just really hit the field. 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 Boy, I'm about to hit the field.
And we're back with another episode of the Hitting the Field podcast number 2 for the year 2020. Jeremy Brener here on this Friday afternoon. I think this is the first podcast for the Hitting the Field podcast that we've done on a Friday. But that's because it's 2020, it's a new year, new time. But we also are doing this probably about as late as we possibly can to prep us for the biggest game of the year so far. It's the College Football National Championship. Jeremy Brener here, the host of the Hitting the Field podcast. And I might be the host with the most, but I got 2 hosts with me today in the booth. The hosts with the not so most and the host with the least. I'll let you guys decide which one is which. But
I'm leaving on that.
Oh,
that hurt.
I mean,
that hurt.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. That was
I
kind
think
of
I'm
mean.
done.
Yeah, that's a career ender right
Jaret
there. That's
Kappelman, host of Hitting the Field.
Yeah, that's me. I have a voice now.
Yes,
Which if you watch the
we're-
show Monday,
we're healthy
I was
again.
Dying.
We're healthy
it.
again.
Yeah, needed it.
And Kyle Partain, host of Hitting the Fields, might I add.
We back.
We are going with, might I add, Season 2 premiere on Monday morning. Are you excited, brother?
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be a good season. Got some special ideas in plan, and hopefully it's going to be a good season.
Yeah, sophomore season.
That's
No,
right.
no sophomore slump for
Oh,
might I add.
nothing at all.
Nothing at all. Nothing of the
So
sort.
we didn't redshirt?
No.
Maybe we...
Oh, we
Ooh.
could, you could classify as a red shirt.
Was that a red shirt?
You could classify
yeah,
that as a
that
red
was
shirt.
just like
yeah.
the beginning.
Oh, that was yeah. You could classify red
That
shirt
was a
for
red
that.
shirt
Yeah.
year. So we're red shirt freshmen.
So we're
I
red
think,
shirt
you, I,
freshmen
think
now.
I think that's a fair assessment.
All right.
I think that's fair.
Fair assessment, but all is fair in love and war, but nothing is fair in college football. And we finally get, it's kind of true. Now that I think
That
about
may
it.
have been the most truthful statement to ever come out of these podcasts for
you
college
mean-
football.
Everything's fair in college football. Everyone has an equal shot at the national championship.
It's equal access. Everyone knows that.
Everyone knows.
I mean, I do think that it is pretty fair that the 2 teams that are undefeated are playing for the national championship on Monday night in New Orleans, Louisiana. The LSU Tigers. Go Tigers.
Gold Tigers.
Go
We're
Tigers.
coming.
Oh, wait, that was pretty good. Can you do that again?
We're coming.
Oh, we got Ed
Coach,
in the
Coach,
booth. with
Coach
us.
O's in the
That's
booth.
right.
Coach
Ed,
O.
I got to
Orgeron
got
in
to
the
hear him
booth.
in person
Coach
out in
O.
Phoenix a couple of years ago,
Wow.
and that is something that
I
sticks
remember
with
that.
forever.
Years
I
ago.
remember that.
I guess it was last year. Actually, it was
That's
just last.
crazy.
It feels like a couple of years
It
ago.
does.
After,
like-
yeah,
That 20...
It
Yeah,
felt,
that-
it,
those are the
you know
golden
what?
days.
It feels like last decade.
yeah, it does. It feels like it's been an entirely different
I
era.
think it has been a different decade.
Yeah.
I
it
actually-
probably has.
I think
Yeah.
it was...
Considering
I
this
think-
decade
I
is
think
like
you
10
could-
days
I
old.
think you could say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
So
is it me, or do I feel like I've already been in 2020 for like a month? It's only been 10 days.
This week felt like a month.
Yeah, I
very
agree,
long
man.
week, but
This week felt like a month.
we're gonna come in with the close with a bang though, with a bang.
That's right.
Fireworks will be going off in this booth for the next 55 minutes or so. So LSU Clemson. I guess we'll just start with LSU. We'll talk about LSU a little bit, what they do well, what they do not so well, what is, I mean, it's hard to see a team that doesn't do a whole lot of stuff not so well, considering they are, 13, 14 and 0. So, I mean,
it's not light.
Right.
but we can talk about maybe ways in which Clemson can expose LSU or LSU can expose Clemson. But let's start just with LSU Heisman Trophy winner, probably the number 1 pick in the NFL draft in April, Joe Burrow. How has Joe Burrow changed this team from a good team to, national championship finalist?
I believe I have to say the toughness factor. And a lot of people will tell you it's not just me that believes this, but I think the transition for Joe Burrow from good to excellent was in the Fiesta Bowl last season. That was the first time we saw Burrow torch defenses. That was the first time we saw Burrow really connect and have that football IQ. And then you have that hit that Joey Connors laid out on him on that pick six. Since that moment, Joe Burrow has not looked anything like the backup he was at Ohio State, like the starter he was last year at LSU. He has been an unbelievable force, and that toughness and that grit has really won him the admiration of his teammates, I think. And that in itself creates a bond and a trust between your team and your routes and everything that you're going through, all the motions. And that trust is something that is really helped and is going to make LSU a very formidable team and has made them a very formidable team this entire season.
I think it's just bizarre. I wouldn't even call it a jump. I would call it like a flight. I would call it a flight. He went from last season throwing for 2,894 yards to this season throwing for over 5,000 yards.
Okay, well, they're also averaging 54 points a game or something.
This is true. So how much can we credit Coach O? How much can we credit the offensive coordinator for LSU? How much is it Burrow versus the coaching staff?
With some players, I think they just finally find a switch where they hit that switch and they just literally turn into the quarterback they were destined to be. Like, if you look at Lamar Jackson in the NFL this year, what changed? He just one offseason, and you know what? He gets bigger, he gets stronger. I think the same thing with Burrow. He got bigger, he got stronger, he got more mentally tough, and he comes out here and he dominates. There was never one game where you're like, oh, Joe Burrow doesn't look good. Oh no, Joe Burrow's he's a flaw. Like he's got flaw. There's been nothing wrong with Joe Burrow all year.
I don't think you can say that Joe Burrow has.
He has more touchdown passes than Matt Ryan does in his own stadium.
That's crazy.
That's kind of mind-blowing.
To be fair, let's talk.
2 games.
Let's talk about the Peach Bowl here. Is that the best that you've ever seen from like a quarterback in any one game, in any semifinal that large of a game?
To date, I would say yes. I mean, you could look at
to date. Is that meaning someone's gonna jump up someone on Monday night?
Well, to date in a college football playoff game, that's the best a quarterback has played. But I don't think that's the limit. Like, the sky's the limit for Burrow in this national championship, and honestly for the future, because football is only going to get, I think, more air heavy, more pass oriented, especially at the college level. And it wouldn't surprise me if Joe Burrow throws for 8
on Monday.
8
on Monday. A nice curtain call.
Hold the phone.
I am holding my phone.
Listen.
Yeah. All right. Jared is holding his phone in his hand.
I believe in the young history of the college football playoff and in the recent history of college football in general. He is holding the phone, by the way, folks. In that recent history of college
5S.
football.
Wait, can we roast him for his iPhone 5S quickly?
Hey, I have the same thing. I can't. I can't roast him on that.
Sorry, we're not rich.
Yeah, I don't even have AirPods, folks. I have actual earbuds with cords.
I have AirPods. I'm not.
Yeah, I have actual cords. So remember that. I relate to all of you out there.
Oh my goodness.
But anyways, as we were saying, I lost my train of thought. Darn it. That's right. Hold the phone. This is one of the best. Thank you. I'll hold my phone.
Yeah.
This is one of the best, if not the best, and I would say it is the best performance, that game against Oklahoma, from a quarterback in the recent history of college football, and for sure the college football playoffs. However, Clemson is an entirely different beast than Oklahoma. Oklahoma's defense has never been a threat, has never been a powerhouse. Clemson and Brent Venables will draw up a game plan. Burrow will still have numbers. Don't get me wrong. There is no such thing as a bad game from Joe Burrow. He will deliver, but it won't be the gaudy statistics that we saw in that game against Oklahoma.
So the thing is, though, I know we'll talk about this later more in the Ohio State Clemson game, but there are one play specifically, and then another play that create that Ohio State Clemson game to Ohio State winning that game a lot to 0. There are 2 plays, which I'll get into later, but Clemson was 2 plays away from getting blown out, and we're talking about Ohio State.
I could even list the third play, but we'll get to that.
I can list a third too, but I wasn't going to jump that
I'll
far.
throw this out there. So Clemson allowed 23 points to Ohio State in the Fiesta Bowl, and that was the most they had allowed in a single game this season. I think I see what KP's going at. Yeah, Jaret, you're looking at.
Yeah, no, I'm
it's
just
true.
taking
It's
a
true.
peek.
They allowed 20 points to North Carolina,
And
that was it. And
they don't give up points.
They
No.
don't give up points very often.
Didn't they play like overall? Wasn't it like their opponents' offenses were like in the bottom 3%?
I mean,
Yeah, the ACC isn't very good, but this is what an elite defense does to teams that aren't very
Are
good.
they elite though?
Clemson?
Is Clemson's defense elite? What's better,
at this point in
Clemson's
time,
defense or offense?
I mean, they
I would
shut out.
actually say
They shut out Alabama
I think
last
it's
year
hard to
in
argue.
the national
This
championship.
is last year. It's college. They lost.
But also,
They lost
But
a lot
they-
of people. It's hard to argue against the Clemson offense, but that is an elite defense.
I'll say this with Clemson though: Clemson is a factory. They are a factory. That's what good college football powerhouses are. They're factories. One person goes out, the next person goes in, and is possibly better than the person that they were replacing. And it's literally just a cycle of they're gonna go out and they're gonna go and get 10 sacks for us, and then they're gonna go to the NFL and be a first round pick, and then the next guy's gonna go do it again the next year.
This is exactly what we've seen from Alabama over the last decade. Now, I'm not saying it's the same kind of dynasty, but this is the same kind of formula. Dabo has taken a slice of Alabama's technique and just the way they run things, and it's very obvious in the way Clemson's breeding this success, the way Dabo's breeding this success. I did not see this in the past couple seasons, Clemson becoming this powerhouse, but after last year's national championship, I think it's pretty impossible to deny that they are a potential dynasty.
I don't think you can deny it, but I mean, I know I will jump into that later, but like to LSU's standpoint,
Yeah, let's get back to LSU because that
what
was where we're
has
starting.
LSU shown this year that you thought they were going to lose the game? Because even in that Alabama game, they were up 21 before Alabama makes this late comeback. No, Joe Burrow was just in cruise control. He was a game manager at that point when he went up by 21.
I'll give you that. There was only one game throughout the entire season where I thought there was a shot that they might lose, and that was that was Texas, week 2. Before we knew what LSU was, before we knew what Texas was.
And what does Joe Burrow do on third down?
Third and 17?
Third and
and
17.
he throws a 30-something yard touchdown. Yeah,
Something like that.
That's exactly my point. There hasn't been a moment this season, aside from those brief couple of moments against Texas, where I'm thinking, well, LSU might
Even
actually
if
lose
they
this
lose
game.
that, they're still sitting where they are right now.
Oh, 100%. Well, they would have been the 3. They would have been the 3, but they would have been in
so
for
their
sure.
path might have been different, but I think
They
they're still
would-
sitting. Joe
I think
Burrow
you're
still
right.
wins the Heisman.
I think you're right. I
Unless
think
he
Burrow still
literally
wins
lets
the
one
Heisman.
play define his career, which I don't think they do. And even then, they were still up in that game. That game that just put it away. It sealed it.
Yeah. But
So, in a sense, I mean, look, what this game is really going to honestly come down to is LSU's offense going to be too much for Clemson's defense, or is Clemson's defense going to be able to contain Joe Burrow and the LSU offense? Now, I believe that this LSU offense, the performance they put up against Oklahoma. Now, it's Oklahoma. But
if
look,
you want to talk about Oklahoma real quick, Oklahoma just proved to the committee and to the nation why the playoff will never expand past 4 teams.
Unfortunately,
it never will, because the drop off from 3 to 4 was so drastic. So what's the drop off from 4 to 5? What's the drop off from 5 to 6?
and that's a fair point. However, what they did in this year, it just happened to be that that there was a big drop off between 3 and 4. Now, in years past,
there's a big drop off from 1 to 2.
But we've we've seen the 4 seed win the whole thing several times.
Exactly.
Yes, yes.
Exactly. So in this year, it just
seen
so
it twice,
happened
right?
to
Yeah,
be
twice.
It just so happened to be that the drop off was between 3 and 4, and that was what that helped the argument of a 14 playoff. However, there might be some years where it changes to I think where the drop off might change. The drop off in some years could be between 2 and 3.
Well, the rankings were bad
And
also. In the year the 4 seeds won the first year, that Ohio State team was only 4 because they had a third-string quarterback. And then the other
That
year...
Ohio State team was only 4 because of that
Alabama-
Virginia Tech game in week 2. That's the only
true.
reason.
And Alabama was only a 4 because they weren't conference champions.
So the rankings were bad. So now it brings us this. So when the weekend before conference championships, Ohio State was the number 1 team in the country, according to the college football playoff.
Well, they also have shown zero consistency this year because LSU should have been the one straight out.
I agree. The committee did show zero consistency this entire season with the ranking process.
So, I mean, I guess in a way, the committee did kind of prove that LSU at least could get past the semifinal. But what if the shoe was on the other foot? What if LSU and Clemson, the matchup we're talking about that's been so hyped, that has 16 days of preparation for?
Too long, in my opinion.
I mean, it just so happens to be that this is the year where it falls so late in the calendar. But did that prove that? Like, what if LSU Clemson was the Fiesta Bowl? Like,
I would argue the same points I'm arguing
what,
today.
if
would
Ohio
that
State
have
was
been
the one?
Yeah, in Ohio
Well, then it
State
would be an
was the
Ohio
one.
State LSU championship.
Ooh.
Ohio State would have beat Oklahoma.
Oh, absolutely, Ohio State. But I'm not vouching for LSU in this game.
I think
Clemson wins
because if you give LSU the same start that Ohio State got, LSU runs away with it. Why? Because Joe Burrow's a better talented quarterback than Justin Fields. Yeah. LSU's a more talented football team than Ohio State.
So,
right, but
Jaret,
just because that's
I'm going to ask you this. So your logic behind LSU being this number one team, is this because LSU is just that much better than Clemson?
LSU's that much better than everyone in the country.
So should Clemson – is Clemson the second best team in the country, in your opinion? Or is it Ohio State? Or is it someone else?
Personally, I do not think the better team won the Ohio State-Clemson game. I do not think the better team won that game, and you can argue that. But from a health standpoint and 3 costly plays, I think the better team fell on the short end of the stick. But I just think there have been questions where Clemson might not be that great. Oh, Ohio State might not be that great. Well, the 4 seed, we honestly didn't care who got in because we knew they were going to get blown out this year. But there was never one point where anyone's like, oh, it's LSU. We have a chance. It's LSU. We're screwed.
I mean, to be fair, though, LSU got to 14-0, but so did Clemson.
Yeah.
But look at the schedules. And schedule.
And that's why LSU's won and not Clemson.
No,
that's why.
Clemson played at no one.
Clemson did what UCF did and played their schedule.
If Clemson had run the table and no one else had, they would be number one going into this playoffs. There's no argument about that. They would be number one.
No. If LSU or Ohio State would have lost an early season game, like if LSU would have lost to a Texas,
no way.
I'll tell you this:
with
if
Texas?
Georgia beats LSU, Georgia's ahead of Clemson.
No,
yes,
no,
yes,
probably not.
Because think about it:
lost to South Carolina.
Georgia goes into the 1 seed, so Georgia goes in as the 4 seed. Clemson's the 3 seed going in the conference championships. Georgia beats the number 1. Clemson beats the number 24. You're telling me that a 4 beating a 1 doesn't jump a 3 beating a 24?
Yeah, because again,
they also have wins against Florida. They also have a win against Florida.
The committee has shown, and
Auburn.
I will agree, the committee has shown that they value the quality wins, but they also really, really value the eye test. That is something that Clemson has passed with flying colors, with the exception of the North Carolina game. There has never been a point like LSU where you thought Clemson was going to lose a game.
If they valued good and bad losses, Georgia would have never been in front of Oklahoma. Because think about it, Oklahoma lost to Baylor. Who did Georgia lose to? South Carolina, and they were still ahead of them. Because they said, oh, you know what? You beat a bunch of good teams. Forget your one bad loss that was terrible at home.
I still don't think it's enough to jump Clemson. An undefeated Clemson with, granted, Virginia was ranked 24. Do I truly believe Virginia's the 24th best team in the country?
No, they left them there because they were in the orange.
I don't believe that. But at the end of the day, you look at that score, I forget, 62-17, 52-17, whatever it was.
It was not close.
That is a dominant performance. Florida won by 6, and Florida, we can all agree, Florida was a good team.
Yes. No,
they deserved to be a top 10 finish this season, correct?
Yes.
Everyone agreed? That is a good, not elite Virginia team. Mm-hmm. Clemson, no losses. They have blown through their schedule, looked great doing it, and we've all talked about this in the past. The eye test has been why the committee ranks dynasties where they are. There is no way a brand that has been so successful in the college football playoff like Clemson would be below a brand that is still up and coming in the college football playoff like Georgia.
So Kyle, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you this question. This is not the Clemson dynasty we're talking about. Make your case for why Clemson is the best team this season. I want you to make your case, and you have the floor right now.
It all comes down to one thing, and that's called, well, I'll even say 2 things, coaching and system. The coaching at Clemson this season, and realistically the past 2 seasons, has been the best in the country. I think the past 2 seasons, Dabo has been a better coach than Nick Saban. I know, crucify me for saying that, but Dabo Swinney has been a better coach than Nick Saban. And you look at that defense. Brent Venables may be the best defensive coordinator in college football. That red zone defense for Clemson this season is the best in the country, and it proved itself against Ohio State. Now, to Ohio State's credit and to Clemson's discredit, Clemson hadn't played a team like Ohio State all season, and we saw that in the first quarter and a half. We saw that until right before halftime. Big plays happened. Now, granted,
stupid plays. That
it was a dumb play on Ohio State, and
it wasn't even his fault though. That
is absolutely a targeting call. I'm sorry.
No. It's textbook targeting. But the thing is, I mean, it's not like he went and it was like a late hit. Like it wasn't like the Clowney on Wentz hit. It was that he was going for the sack.
That's what I'm getting at. Ohio State
was ducking down.
Ohio State they did this, right? They did that.
They did do it.
They committed the penalty.
But that wasn't even the first play that turned the whole game. The first play was Dobbins dropping the ball in the end zone, which swings that game to 20-0, and Ohio State then runs away with it, and the game's over.
Part of what makes a team great is discipline.
I agree.
And toughness.
I agree.
And Clemson displayed both in the end of that first half, and they displayed both throughout the entire second half of the game. And that, in itself, won the football game. That red zone defensive toughness, and then the discipline. What makes Clemson so much better than everyone else is how well coached and how ready they are to do their jobs individually and collectively as a team, and they get the job done. That's what they've done these past 2 seasons.
So
That's
you're
what they've done
telling
for 25 straight games now?
Yes, they have. They do have the longest active winning streak. You're going to tell me, though, that coaching is the reason that P.K. Dobbins, for some reason, decided to dive and drop the ball in the end zone that would have sealed the football
J.K.
game?
Dobbins, future Texan.
Why do I always say P.K.? Who is P.K.?
P.K. Subban.
I don't know why I always say P.K.
P.K. Subban.
I don't know why I say it.
P.K. Subban just got engaged to Lindsey Vonn.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah,
I always shout out.
I'm all for that. I'm all
I
for
don't
that.
always
Christmas,
say
yeah.
PK.
JK.
It rolls off the
JK.
tongue.
It's your
like
initials.
JK rolling.
Yeah.
Like there's so many famous JKs. Jaret Kappelman. Like, and I just always say PK.
Hey, you just named 2 right there.
Who's it? I said it, and Dominique almost killed me at work. He's like, "Stop saying PK." I'm like, "Dude, I don't know why I say it. It's
Shout
just
out to
like
Dom.
thinking fast." But no, JK Dobbins. Sorry, but you're telling me that coaching is the reason that he dropped that football?
No, but that... No, coaching
Because
is
if
not
that
why
ball's caught, the game's over. The game is
So what?
over.
It's what? At that point, it's 13-0, right?
No, it would have made it 20. Yeah, it's 13-0 when he drops it.
It's
Yes,
13-0.
yes.
You really think... Now, granted, Ohio State probably would still score in the second half, right? Clemson will not... I don't think they would have faded. Do I think they win that game in that scenario? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. We would never see that
What was the final score of that game? It was
29-23.
a 3-point game.
Right? 29-23.
And they settled for a field goal. If Dobbins catches that ball, that's a 4-point swing. And then, you know what? They're already in field goal range on that last drive. They just run the ball, set up the field goal. Even then, though, that's even if Clemson has the heart to come back in it.
Oh, I think it is... I don't think you can ever make that argument about Clemson and Dabo not having the heart.
Well, no, I'm not saying the heart, but maybe I think Ohio State just floors it and they're gone, and this game's 35-0.
That is a tough... that 35-0, maybe not, but that is
it
a
was
tough...
31-0 a year or two ago.
That is a tough situation to get out of. I would agree with you. That is a tough situation, but it's not what happened.
No,
the mistakes
and I agree.
happened.
But if that roughing the
I
passer
think-
doesn't happen, if that roughing the punter doesn't
So,
happen,
let me
if one of
get
those
this
two doesn't
straight.
happen, because
I
think
wanna-
about
I
it,
wanna
roughing the
confirm this
passer,
with you.
60-yard run the next play for a touchdown.
Right. And I want to confirm this with you, though. Dobbins, right?
Yep.
You think he dropped the ball or you think it was a bad call?
I think he dropped the ball.
Right.
No, it was clearly a drop. Now,
That's
the one bad call...
why, and that goes back to why Clemson
I
is
can jump
better.
to a
They
bad
make
call.
The plays they make the plays when they need to make the plays.
you think-
Ohio State didn't.
Do you think the Ohio State fumble that was called back, the fumble 6, do you think that was a bad call? Because I think he had possession. What is possession?
So
What is possession? That's the magical question.
I might agree with you on this one. That's a tricky one. And again,
Because he didn't bring it into his body.
This is why I think the overuse of replay is a bad thing.
I do too.
Because
I agree.
in live time, right, it looks like he has possession.
Oh, wait, I just saw the play. You're going to tell me that he didn't catch the ball, take 3 steps, just because he didn't bring it to his body doesn't mean it's not a fumble?
In live time, it looks like he catches the ball
1,
and has possession.
2,
but here,
3, 4,
does he make a football
5?
move? That's the thing. And that's why this rule, what is a catch? What is
Well,
it?
yeah,
It
because
sucks.
the thing is, if that's in the end zone, that's a touchdown.
Right, but
'Cause
like
if that ball's
this,
caught in the end zone.
I can't definitively argue either way.
Oh, I
with
can't
the,
either.
With the slow
I
motion.
can't either.
I can't confirm, yeah, this is absolutely a catch, or no, he absolutely didn't have possession. I don't know because of the replay. If you're going purely off of what looks live, I think it's a fumble.
Now, I will say that Clemson's defense, they're dogs. Fields threw 1 pick all season, and he threw 2 in that game. Yeah. Granted, the last one was the receiver's fault for running the wrong route, but that's the issue when you run college routes or with option routes. But I will say they contained Fields. They really did. Yes, he had a knee injury. Yes, Dobbins was hurt. But like the fact Dobbins had 22 carries or 22 touches and 240 yards hurt. Imagine if he's healthy.
Yeah. Well, I've been saying this all season long when we talk about Heisman contenders and everything. J.K. Dobbins absolutely deserved to be on that list. He was the best running back in the country.
He was better than Jonathan Taylor.
And
easily.
I'm not sure Clemson gives up that many yards to, what's his name, Edwards-Helaire. Okay. I don't think it's the same type of talent.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. So, Jaret, how for Clemson in this game, for LSU in this game, who is going to have to be that J.K. Dobbins who is their bread and butter on offense?
Oh, their bread and butter is going to be Joe Burrow. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Okay, but Joe Burrow got to throw the football. Or Joe Burrow got to hand off the football. Which skill player? Skill player. We'll go skill player here.
I'm just thinking Burrow's going to have to throw 50 times for them to win the game.
That is why Clemson will win the game. Right there. This is... So, I forget where I saw this, where I heard this. Brent Venables was talking about how you limit Joe Burrow and how you limit this LSU team. And very specifically, his answer stuck out to me. You don't try and limit everything because you know Joe Burrow is going to make his plays. Mm-hmm. What Clemson has to limit, they absolutely have to limit, is the run game, and they will stuff the line. I don't think Edwards-Helaire breaks 70 yards in this game.
I'm going to laugh when the first play is like an 80-yard touchdown for him.
Okay, well, if that happens, then you just y'all have the right to, if that specific play happens, y'all have the right to never take me seriously on hitting the field again. But
I will take note of that.
For real, I truly believe that the fact that Joe Burrow, like you said, is going to have to throw the ball so many times, I don't think LSU can win this game in that scenario because I think, to your point, Clemson's defense, they're dogs, and they get better as the game goes on. LSU does a great job of scoring in the red zone. They're the best in the country at scoring in the red zone. Clemson's the best at preventing scoring in the red zone. So I can't wait to see these matchups, like strength on strength in this game.
Is Edwards even healthy? Is he going to be 100%?
I don't think he's 100%. I don't think he's 100%.
When he wasn't, who was it?
He'll play.
Curry was their leading rusher in the last game. He had
no, he should play, but I don't think he's 100%. But
because that's big too.
Right. You don't have to be two-dimensional. You don't have to be a two-dimensional team to beat Oklahoma, to tear up Oklahoma. You don't have to be. You just have to be good. And LSU is great at what they do with throwing the ball.
But it's obviously going to be. It's not going to be done on the run game. It's going to be Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson.
That's what I'm getting.
Going to be.
LSU will get their points. They will score. There's no denying that.
But will Clemson get their points?
Absolutely.
That's the question. Because
absolutely.
Who if you I think there's the right answer to this, but who was the only source of offense for Clemson in that game?
Oh, it's Trevor Lawrence.
Yes.
100%.
So and what did he do it? On the ground or through the air? He did it on the ground.
That's what I'm getting at. Let's go back to that Alabama game versus LSU, right?
Yeah.
They blow Alabama out if Najee Harris doesn't run through that defense.
That's Najee Harris. That's a running back.
Travis Etienne is going to chop up that LSU defense. I think Etienne...
So you don't think it'll be Lawrence, you'll think it'll be Etienne?
Well, Lawrence, when Etienne gets going, right? Okay. If he gets going, that opens up all your lanes. That opens up a lot for Trevor Lawrence. And Trevor Lawrence, he's going to make his throws. He's not Burrow. He's not, that same talent.
No, he's not as good as Burrow.
No, he's not. But he's good. He's great. He's never lost a game for a reason. He's able to come back against Ohio State for a reason. He doesn't make stupid mistakes. And that is something huge for Clemson to win this game. If they can open up the run game, which I believe Etienne will be able to do, then Lawrence just has to be a game manager and not screw them over.
But game manager, when you're playing a team like LSU, how do you be a game manager? Because LSU, I'm sorry, is gonna they're gonna score 8 or 9 touchdowns. It's just LSU style.
I don't know about 8 or 9 touchdowns. I think
LSU's played top defenses all year where you don't think they're going to do anything, and they still put up 40 points.
What defense is better than
what makes Clemson's defense different from everyone else's?
The red zone discipline. Absolutely red zone discipline.
I'm pretty sure LSU, they score outside of the red zone more than any team in college football.
They probably. I'm not going to argue that. I think they probably do. But they have the best red zone scoring offense in the country.
And didn't they just lose their coach? Is he even coaching, their defensive coordinator? Or who'd they lose? They lost their offensive coordinator, Clemson?
Yeah, no, Venables is coaching, absolutely.
So he's coaching. Yeah. Okay, I didn't make sure, because I know.
Yeah, so that's something I wanted to bring up just now. Coaching staff. LSU coaching staff. Their biggest coaching performance came in the Peach Bowl 2 weeks ago. Clemson's coached in, 5 now?
Yep.
National championship games. Trevor Lawrence has played in the national championship game.
Yep.
You could even argue that, I mean, yes, the stakes were higher, but that wasn't even his most stress, that wasn't even his most pressure.
That was one of his
that wasn't his
easiest
biggest
games of his
test.
career.
Absolutely.
Exactly. I would assume
I would say that UNC game was harder than that national championship.
and then
He
the
just
Fiesta
passed
Bowl.
the toughest test of his whole career. He just passed the toughest game he's ever played against Ohio State.
I agree. I would agree.
So how is that going to play a role on Monday?
Well,
is it going?
I'll be
is
honest.
It going
If
to
we're
play a
doing
role?
like check boxes, Clemson has the coaching staff by a mile. I'll be honest. Like, what does Coach O? I mean, what is he? He's really just seems like a motivator.
I think O brings a certain toughness. Coach
I
O
think he brings a
toughness.
tough, but I mean,
I'm not sure how much of the schemes he's doing.
I think Dabo's bringing the scheme. I mean,
Yeah.
everything. But I will say that I will give Clemson the edge in coaching. I
So,
100%.
but you think that LSU's offense is enough to combat it?
I think talent will always on-field talent will beat preparation because here's the thing. You're going to study the tape. What happens when Burrow goes, you know what, screw the tape, screw what we've done all year, let's go out and do something new, and I'm talented enough, I'm going to make it work.
I think he's capable of that.
So, you would argue Ohio State was a more talented team, correct?
Then who?
Than Clemson was.
I believe so, yes.
So the talented team does not always come out on top.
That is correct. So Clemson does have a shot.
Right. And I think you only need a chance.
That's true.
You only need a chance. And I do believe Clemson... We're sitting here talking... By the way, if you're looking purely at skill, player by player, I do believe LSU is more talented.
So
I would agree. But you don't need to have that skill, that dominant skill, in order to win games. Because you need to have the fundamentals, the discipline, and the toughness to make the plays that have to be made at that moment.
Now, I don't know what kind of people you hang out with, but people I hang out with, like at the Sentinel and in the newsroom and stuff, said that the LSU Oklahoma game would be closer than the Clemson Ohio State game, and I said, "There's no way." I'm like, Oklahoma has a 0% chance, and they're like, "No, well, they have a better chance than this." I'm like, "There's no way Oklahoma has a snail's chance in this game." So my question to you is, did you think Oklahoma even had a chance? Like, because that's what I'm trying to. I'm just trying to get a gauge here.
I thought if you're playing,
because I thought Oklahoma had a 0% chance.
If you're looking at Oklahoma, I gave him maybe a 10-15%.
So what'd you give
best.
Ohio State and Clemson? What was your?
I was about 60-40 in
60-40
favor
for Clemson. Okay,
Yeah,
I just
60-40
want to
in
know
favor
like
of
what
Clemson.
you
Yeah, I was about 60-40 in favor. But you look, Ohio State and Clemson are so many more miles better than Oklahoma this season.
Oh well, no,
so many more miles. That's not a real fair comparison when you look at those.
So
two
if you're
games,
saying
LSU
so you're saying it's 90-10, then 60-40. So what do you give the national championship LSU Clemson?
Truly, I believe this is 60-40 as well.
For who?
I'm going to vouch for Clemson again.
You're going to say
I'm
Clemson.
going to give Clemson.
So you're going to say for a team that had a close margin against. So what would be your LSU Ohio State?
Oh, I'd go 50-50.
50-50.
If I had to pick a winner, I would pick LSU over Ohio
Now,
State.
do you
if I had to take
who's
a
more talented, LSU or Clemson?
like I said, LSU has the actual
So
talent.
LSU's
will
more
not argue
talented,
that.
but you're going to go off saying that, you know what, talent might not have the edge here?
I'm going to go off the system.
The system.
The system.
The system.
And Clemson has proven time and time again the system works.
All right, I can live with that.
The system.
I can live with the system. I mean, I don't agree with that, but I can live
The
with it.
system. Yeah, the system.
The system.
The system, folks.
The system.
I don't know, because it's just LSU has been tested. LSU has played teams. LSU has gone on the road. LSU has done this. What has Clemson done besides last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was?
Blown the socks off of everyone that they're playing. And that, granted,
They've played FCS teams.
They
that's
played their
what I'm getting
schedule.
That's what an elite team
care.
does.
LSU played their schedule.
That is what an elite team does to bad opponents. None of the games,
So they
Except
win by
North
1 to
Carolina.
UNC at home. Oh no, that was on the road.
except North Carolina, none of these games were close.
So
not even remotely.
how
close.
different is this season if UNC wins that game? Is because Clemson
To be fair,
might be
though-
Clemson might be the 4.
To
They
be
probably
fair,
still
though-
It would have been the 4. They would have been the 4.
Look,
Nah, they probably would.
regardless of how LSU or Clemson got here, literally means jack squat. In my opinion, it means jack squat. Because at the end of the day, your season's coming down to Monday.
That's true.
It doesn't matter who you beat to get here. You got a seat at the table, and you kicked off one.
That is
you
true.
kicked off
But
one
through
beat.
the regular season, Kyle Trask had more passing yards than Trevor Lawrence, and Trask didn't even play like 4
And
games.
also, I think that's part of the reason why the number 1 seed has never won in the college football playoff. Because
That is true, actually.
Because there are because you take these teams from. I think because the college football playoff is very liberal in how they don't nitpick like the BCS used to in how to get your top two.
Yep.
And look, if you had to pick your top two, probably at the end of the season, if there was no college football playoff and it was the top two, it would have been
LSU, Ohio State.
It would have been.
If there was computer rankings, it would have been LSU, Ohio State.
At that point, you would have to give it to the strength of schedule.
Because Clemson didn't play anyone. Right. Ohio State really didn't have close games.
But no one here is arguing that Clemson didn't belong in the
here's
playoffs.
another thing.
A schedule.
So you're saying
run through your table or run through your
Ohio State blew the socks off better opponents than Clemson,
and still lost. That's what I'm getting at. Clemson showed that they are that good.
I don't think they're that good. I think they got. Luck beats luck. You can get lucky once in a while, and I think they got lucky.
I think that you can argue. I think it's fair.
You can argue that Clemson got lucky.
I'm not going to argue that because
I'm not doubting that Clemson is talented. Clemson deserves to be here in every single aspect. Clemson deserves to be here.
We'll go back to that fumble because absolutely they got the break on that call. They got the break.
They got the break on that. I mean, that Dobbins shot the ball on the roughing the punter on the
college football and football in general, pro, college, high school. You overcome. That is the name of the game. Clemson has overcome whatever obstacles. Granted, there aren't many of them that they've had this season. They have overcome them. Ohio State had every chance to still win that game. So
you don't think health played a factor in that at all? The fact Dobbins went out 3 separate times. Right. The fact Fields is playing on half a leg.
You overcome it. They had the chance to win, and they didn't. Okay. I feel no sympathy for Ohio State.
I don't either. I love seeing Ohio State lose. You don't understand. I don't like Ohio State, but that's how you know I think they're better. Because I would never vouch for Ohio State just to vouch for them. I don't like Ohio State.
Clemson, and that's the difference between where these programs are. Clemson has a proven veteran head coach.
So with Urban Meyer's coaching that game, does Ohio State win?
Well, I think Ohio State, for one, goes for 2 instead of kicking a field goal, makes it a little bit more pressured. Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
I said that too.
Yeah, I think, and I'm not going to sit here and say Ryan Day was scared of the big.
He was scared. They settled for red zone. They settled for 3 red zone field goals. That's playing scared. That's playing not to lose. You need to play to win.
I would. In certain situations, I would agree, but you can't always. You can't go for it on 4th down every single time. We've seen UCF do that, and it bites them every single time. It feels like you can't risk it every time you get.
It hurts because Josh Heupel runs halfback draw with Adrian Killens up the middle.
All right. So we're running a little bit short on time. I'm gonna give each of you. What are you looking at?
You said time.
You said time.
Yeah, but you have no watch on your.
Yeah, we do. I have 3 watches on. 1, 2, and then 3. It's 1:30.
I was holding my phone, folks.
Yeah, holding that phone the whole segment.
You definitely weren't, but okay. I'm gonna give you guys a chance, uninterrupted. State your case for the team you believe will win Monday night, and we're gonna start with Jaret Kappelman because his name comes first in the alphabet. That's the only reason why.
I was like, I actually had to do the alphabet in my head. I was like,
I had to do it as well.
Kappelman, and then I thought Kyle. I'm like, oh wait,
I had to come up with a reason.
All right, what do we do? Are we timering this? Do I have 1 minute on
the
clock?
You got your night vision.
I will give you this is your rant, night vision, whatever you want to call it. We'll give you at the start of.
All right, so
you have
1 minute.
We'll
give
you
in 8
I'll give you 3 minutes.
Oh,
I'll give you 3 minutes.
3 minutes is a long time.
And ready, set, go.
I got 3 minutes to talk about why LSU is gonna win the national championship. For starters,
uninterrupted, go.
They have played the best schedule in college football. You can't tell me otherwise. They took down Florida, which honestly, if Florida wins that game, Florida's sitting in the national championship right now, which is a very hot take. But if Florida wins that game, it's completely different. And we can just jump into Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is the best player that college football has seen. Oh, man, I was about to say this decade, but we're in another decade. Last decade. He was the best player in these last 2 decades, and I don't think there's any arguing that. Yes, LSU's defense doesn't show up as much as they should, but let's be real. Do you need defense if you're going to score 60 points a game? Because yes, defense wins championships, but I don't see Clemson's offense putting up points. Second, what am I, third now? Yeah, well, they can't talk, so this is awesome. Third, they have tough road games. They beat Alabama on the road. That was huge. They beat Texas on the road. Back when we thought Texas was going to be good. Yes, Texas turned out not to be as great, but you know what? When you're week 3, week 2 in the season, that's still going to be a good, big game. They blew Oklahoma off the rails. Oklahoma, regardless of what you say, was the 4th best team in the country. 4th best out of, 126 teams? So, regardless of what you say, yes, the drop-off might have been from 1 to 2, 3 to 4. They are the best team, the 4th best team in the country for a reason. And they made Georgia look stupid. And honestly, Georgia probably competes with Oklahoma, Clemson, and Ohio State for at least 3 quarters. I just don't see how the drop isn't from 1 to 2 this year. LSU is that much better than everyone because they have the best player of this generation of college football, and they have what I would say the most energetic coach of college football.
All right, you got 58 seconds to talk about anything else except college football now.
Anything else but okay?
You have 58 seconds.
Well, I don't know if you saw Mookie Betts got that huge contract.
Did he really?
Yeah, he got
Good
like
for
a
Mookie.
27 million.
Good for Mookie.
Yeah, he got a $27 million on arbitration.
Awesome.
Chris Bryant signed a 1-year, $19 million deal with the Cubs.
Oh,
so
good for them.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Monday's show's gonna be fun.
I'm really excited.
We're gonna
It's
recap
round
the NFL.
2.
I can't say what else we're gonna talk about because you said I can't talk about that subject.
Round 2 of know who.
Well, we can't talk about what we're doing because you said you can't talk about that subject.
That's true.
But other than that,
you got 20 seconds. What are you doing this weekend?
I got work tonight.
Oh, nice.
I get to go work at the Sentinel. I'm gonna have some fun. Everyone will be in tonight, so get to catch up and write down about some high school sports, and then I think I'm off this weekend. Actually, I don't think I work this weekend, so I'm gonna sleep in, watch some great NFL games, and finish all my quizzes. And just like that, I'm done on time for once.
Bingo! That was pretty good.
I'm impressed. I don't know if
3 minutes.
I don't know if I'll be able to match that.
3
That's
minutes. All right, you're gonna take that mic. So Jaret definitely can't talk.
What? I never talk. I'm respectful.
All right, Kyle Partain. We're gonna start at
All
the
right.
20, and then you'll have 3 minutes to talk about whatever
All right.
you want. And go.
So Clemson is going to win the college football national championship for several reasons. And Jaret has even backed me up on one. Check off coaching. The coaching staff with Clemson is as good, if not better, than everyone else in the country. They have a system that has proven time and time again that it works. They have beat elite talent in big games in the past 2 seasons during this win streak. You look at, now you could argue Notre Dame doesn't belong there, but you could argue Alabama and now Ohio State. Back-to-back major post-game appearances. Huge wins for Clemson, and again, both times that team was not as talented as the team they were playing because the system trumps the talent in this kind of atmosphere. Clemson does not hurt themselves. They do not shoot themselves in the foot. They will not give up stupid penalties. They will make the plays they have to when they need to, and they will show that defensive toughness that has become the Clemson brand. They don't give up points in the red zone. They don't give up points, period. They have outscored opponents by a very large margin this season. And then we'll get to the offense. Travis Etienne is one of the best, least talked about running backs in the country this season, largely because J.K. Dobbins and Najee Harris have been so much, have had so much of that spotlight. Well, guess what? Neither one of them is in this game. Travis Etienne, he is in this game. And LSU this season, they give up 118 rushing yards per game. And that includes games against Arkansas and other teams that don't really have a rush threat at all. Etienne is going to put up plus 120 yards in this game. And if Clemson gets a ground rushing attack going, then I truly believe that gives Lawrence the leeway to not have to be excellent. Burrow, on the other hand, is going to have to be excellent because I don't think Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets going. That Clemson defense is something very different from what he played in the previous game. He didn't even play that much against Oklahoma. But this is a very different, tough defense. And I believe that when it comes down to it, Trevor Lawrence is going to be good, not great. And that, paired with an elite running game and a very, very strong defensive performance against the LSU rush, is enough to give Clemson a 35-31-ish victory. And I think Clemson wins this game and pretty much seals their status as a dynasty.
All right, you got about 25 seconds to talk about anything else except college football?
Anything except college football?
Yes, for the next 20 seconds.
All right. You'll see this on our Don't At Me in a couple minutes, or in a little bit here, but Tom Brady, clearly going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Clearly going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Get ready, folks. No, truly, I'm going to rant because the Jags
Three,
made some
two,
horrible front office decisions
one.
keeping Marone.
You're right. You didn't talk that.
Wow.
No.
Wow. Y'all can share that mic again.
All right.
Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring.
Sharing
So,
is caring.
Remember that.
I'll
say this, guys.
I got to give you 3 minutes, right?
I agree. I think that's
I
fair.
get-
This is 2020.
I get
fair.
3 minutes.
Yeah, you get 3 minutes starting in 4, 3,
All right.
2, and go.
Well, I'll say this. The two of you should consider a career in law because you guys have stated your cases very well. I knew both of you coming into this had very strong opinions about one and the other, and that's why I'm glad we got the two of you in the booth. It's one of the best podcasts I think we've put together thus far in the short history of the HTF podcast. Honestly, as much as you guys have stated your cases, you've only confused me more. And that's a
job
good
well
thing.
done.
That's a very
Oh,
good
yeah,
thing.
I think we did our job.
Hey, don't interrupt me.
We'll add 10 seconds.
Yeah. Every time I get 10 more seconds. But anyway, no, I actually think that this you can't have a better game than these two teams. You really can't. It is also a clash of styles, and I think that we looked at last year and we saw Clemson, Alabama, and we're like, okay, here we go again. But what we saw was that Clemson absolutely got demolished, or they demolished Alabama, and I really hope we don't get that. But I have a weird feeling that it could be not close again. And actually, look, if you take Clemson blowout, LSU blowout, Clemson close win, LSU close win, I actually think that the chances of a Clemson blowout are the greatest chance in this game because of the defense. I think the defense will be able to keep them in the game and limit LSU. That's not to say that Clemson is going to win the game, but I think that look, if LSU can win a shootout, Clemson doesn't want this game to turn into a shootout, because if Clemson goes into a shootout, they are less likely to win, because that's not how they win. They win by their defense, and LSU wins with their offense. And that's why this game is such a intriguing matchup, because it's the best offense, arguably, against the best defense in the country. But also that can create possibility for high blowout potential. And I don't want to, considering we did not have a very, entertaining college football championship a year ago, I hope that we don't get that same, treat again. I want to see a close game. So I hope LSU wins, actually, just because I think it'd be an incredible story for Joe Burrow to go out on top and then go into the draft and go get that number one pick and go,
Throw his career away.
in Cincinnati.
20 seconds.
But,
I think we'll give you 30.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll give you an extra 40. You got 20
I guess.
now. Yeah, okay,
So
keep going.
I'm hopefully we're in store for a good game. But
All right,
I
30
guess
seconds
no
to
more.
not talk college football.
All right. James Harden and the Rockets did not do very well last night, so I'm not going to mention any more about that. The Texans play this weekend.
They do.
Oh my God.
Who do they play?
They
the
play
Chiefs.
Kansas City.
What was the score of the regular season again?
31-24 Houston.
That is right.
I'm nervous.
I
I feel a little more. I think that.
I have the Chiefs in the
Look,
Super Bowl.
I didn't think the Texans were going to win last weekend.
I got Chiefs 49ers.
I thought the Texans had like a 40% chance this weekend. I actually think this weekend they have about a 45% chance. Like I have a better feeling about this weekend than I did last weekend, which is weird, especially because the opponent's better and they're on the road. But
And time. I gave you an extra 20 because I felt like I interrupted you a lot.
you can interrupt me anytime. It's okay.
Well, it was uninterrupted.
It was.
I will let.
Yeah.
Jaret, I will.
You said I was also.
I
like
won't
the
let
least-
anyone just
You
interrupt.
said I was
me.
the least
can do
talented
it.
host.
You can do
so
it.
I guess I'm really not doing a
That's
good
true.
job.
That's true.
If anything, I'm
true.
sticking up to my
Well,
name.
I'll tell you, whoever's team loses is the least talented, right? Whoever's team loses.
Ooh, is that the kind of bet we're
Is
doing?
that what we're going at? Is that what we're getting at?
Egos on the line. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know.
Ooh.
I don't know if my rep is
That
worth
doesn't matter
it.
to me. I don't.
Ooh, how about this? How about
Yeah,
this?
no,
We'll
I
say
feel
this
that.
on the air, so that it has to happen. The loser, if LSU wins, Kyle, you have to go on the Hitting the Field Instagram and Twitter accounts. Go follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Hitting the Field and say, I am Kyle Partain and I am the least knowledgeable Hitting the Field host.
I'll do it if that's the stakes.
It's
We about
like
it?
are you smarter? It's like
I will only do it if it's paired. If Jared agrees.
Yeah.
If Jared.
it's like
agrees,
are you
always
smart?
on.
It's like are you smarter than a fifth grader?
Yeah.
Except
Can we add in because I can't predict or I can't analyze college football at a top
and
level or something?
Because I don't know college football.
Yeah,
because I don't know college football.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
So the loser has to say, I am
I'm about
Jaret
I'll
or
do it.
Kyle.
I'll shake on it.
The shake has been made. I am the witness. This is going to happen. So be sure to check our Hitting the Field social media accounts for an update on that.
Well, since I can talk
Monday
college
night, Tuesday
football
morning.
again. Monday we got part 2.
Yeah,
part 2 of this.
Yeah.
I'm
Part
not
two.
gonna-
Oh, it's gonna be
I'm not
good
gonna be
stuff.
as big of a part of it because I am hosting it. So
Yeah,
it'll
it's gonna be
like
some
a
good
Part
stuff.
2 of Partain versus
Not me. No. It's not
Pertains
Are
to
we gonna double box
Partain.
with me
Partain Part 2.
on it? Partain and Alex makes his
And
debut.
Alex Tinsley making his debut
It's
on
gonna be a good
Monday.
one, folks.
We do have a really awesome season set in store. I teased a little bit on Wednesday for the podcast. Keep going with the podcasts a couple each week. And the new season kicked off Monday, and episode 2 coming out also on Monday. Go check that out on our YouTube page at Hitting Field. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. We have 13 more episodes this season. 13 more episodes until
That's gonna go. That's gonna.
The
go.
diploma.
Fly. It is gonna fly.
13 episodes till that diploma, which
That's scary.
For you two.
that's not enough. Jarrett's got
And I'm stuck here.
about 40 more episodes left.
Yeah.
Probably about.
I'd give
Roughly.
or take.
No, that sounds good.
But
Give or take a hurricane or
But-
two, right?
Give or take a hurricane.
we have a lot of
Right.
we've been working really hard this first week to try to recruit new members of Hitting the Field.
I'll say, like, because
It's
Brener
promising.
and I are going into our 6th season here. Honestly, this is the biggest I think I've seen.
It's-
recruit
Based off
since
of what
since
I
our
saw,
first season.
Yeah.
The future's bright. Based
There
off
was
of what
there
I
was
saw.
a big cohort that first season
Like
that
season
you and I
5
joined.
when we were there, they were
Yeah,
like,
because they needed a whole lot of people,
Yeah.
and then, but this I'm confident in the passing of the torch when that eventually comes to happen. I still got the torch. I still got the torch in my
that's
hand.
right.
Not
I
ready
still,
for it yet.
No,
and
it's-
I still got a full season left. So we're gonna just enjoy it, fellas.
It's gonna be fun. We're building something.
We're
Yeah.
building something.
Absolutely.
We're
and
definitely-
I love being a part of that. So if you want to become part of that building process,
structure.
the
The system.
facade,
The system.
the
That's-
system,
Become a
There
part
we
of the
go.
system.
There
hitting
we
the
go.
system.
God, that sounds so like.
So
Dip-
if you want to be part of our
dictator.
team,
It does.
come
Be a part of the
out
system.
to Nicholson School of Communications
And Media.
Studio and Media, NSCM Studio, and come be a part of the team. So guys, Jaret Kappelman, Kyle Partain, Jaret Brener, the hosts with the most. I'll say us three now.
The host.
The
I'll
hosts
take it.
with
I'm
the
pretty
most.
sure when you've written my scripts
I
before, you put host with the most.
I think he has
He
too.
definitely
I'm
has.
gonna give you that.
I
I
think
think he
definitely
has.
have.
He's also
We
given
are
me some
all the
questionable
hosts with the
intros that
most.
I have gone and erased. I don't know if Partain would.
Yeah, but
I'll take your word for it. No cap.
until
I don't even
until
have a cap on
Monday,
right now.
True.
so long. Yes, you do.
No, I don't. It's a hat.
Just
That's a hat.
No.
A hat is a cat.
Distinguished.
Hat,
difference.
cat and hat. Green eggs and ham?
Distinguished.
Until
One
next
fish, two
time.
fish, red fish, blue fish.
We will have to do this again sometime. Please, can we please do this again?
Hop on pop, dude.
I don't have classes on Wednesday. I'm
All right,
good this
all
year.
right. We will be back soon. Hopefully, the three of us very soon. But till next time, we will catch you guys on the flip side.
Oh, man.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated champs, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 racks in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back. Okay, always locked in, I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check your stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask. I just really hit the field.